They lost you for a reason. Protect your peace. There comes a time in life when you have to stop asking why they left and start thanking God they did. Everyone who started with you was meant to stay. Some people were only assigned to a chapter, not your entire book. You've got to understand some connections were never meant to last forever. They were lessons, not lifelong partners. There's a reason you outgrew certain conversations, certain places, and certain people. It's not arrogance. It's growth. It's spiritual alignment. When your heart begins to crave peace more than attention, you've matured. When you stop chasing validation and start protecting your energy, you've evolved. You see peace is expensive, and you can't afford to give discounts anymore. There was a time when you let anyone access your emotions, your time, your energy, and your heart. But now you've learned to value what you carry. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. Some people only came to drain it, not to protect it. They didn't lose you because you weren't enough. They lost you because they couldn't handle your healing, couldn't match your discipline. They couldn't carry your purpose. They weren't built for where you're going. Stop mourning what God removed. Start celebrating what He protected. Sometimes rejection is not punishment, it's protection. It's divine redirection. It's the universe saying, I have something better for you. Every time someone walked away, something greater was walking in. Every time a door closed, peace was being preserved. You didn't lose anything, you were saved from something. So guard your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefited from your lack of them. Stop apologizing for choosing silence over chaos. Stop trying to convince people who left that you're still the same person. You've evolved. You've healed. You've changed, and that's something to be proud of. The next time you look back at who walked away, smile. Because their exit was your elevation. Their departure created your space to grow. Their absence gave birth to your strength, and one day they'll realize losing you wasn't their freedom. It was their failure. There are moments in life when rejection feels like the hardest thing to accept. You pour your heart into something or someone. When it doesn't go your way, it hurts deeply. You question yourself, your worth, and your direction. You start asking, care enough? Why me? You replay moments in your mind trying to understand what went wrong, what you could have done differently, how you could have made them stay, how you could have earned that opportunity. But sometimes what feels like rejection is actually divine protection. It's not the universe punishing you, it's preparing you. It's not a setback, it's a setup for something better. Every door that closes isn't meant to hurt you. Some doors close because there's danger on the other side. Some people leave because they were never meant to go where you're going. You might not see it in the moment, but time has a way of revealing that rejection was saving you from unnecessary pain, from hidden harm, from battles you didn't even know were waiting for you. What you thought was the end of something was actually the beginning of something sacred. Your protection, your peace, and your purpose being preserved. We often confuse rejection with failure, but rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means that something wasn't aligned with your destiny. The things you begged for, the people you tried to hold on to, the jobs, friendships, relationships that slipped away, they weren't meant to carry the weight of your calling. Some things are removed not because they're bad, because they're not meant for you. You are being redirected towards something that fits you better, something that honors who you're becoming. Think about it. If every prayer you ever prayed had been answered, would you really be where you are now? If every person who left had stayed, would you still have grown? Sometimes we don't realize that the very thing we're crying over losing is the thing that was keeping us from peace. Rejection breaks comfort, and comfort is the enemy of growth. When something or someone walks out of your life, it may hurt, but it's also an invitation to rise. It's an awakening that pushes you to find your strength again, to build yourself, to evolve. When people reject you, it doesn't define and care worth. It defines their capacity. Not everyone can recognize your value. Not everyone can handle your light. Some people are attracted to your energy but unprepared for your depth. You have to stop shrinking yourself to fit where you no longer belong. You are not meant to beg for space in someone's life. You are not meant to chase doors that were divinely locked. You are not meant to hold on to seasons that have already expired. Rejection teaches you resilience, shows you how to depend on something greater than human approval. When doors close, your faith is tested. That's when you discover who you are when nothing seems to work. That's when you learn that you're stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. Sometimes the best thing that could happen to you is being forced to walk alone for a while. Because in that solitude, you find clarity. You rediscover your purpose. You learn to stop depending on people who were never meant to sustain you. There are blessings that only appear after the storm. There's peace that only comes after loss, and there's understanding that only arrives after rejection. The no you received was really a not yet. The closed door was not punishment, it was positioning. You weren't denied, you were being redirected to something greater, something safer, something more aligned with your destiny. Rejection is heaven's way of saying, trust me with what you don't understand. Sometimes the people who reject you are doing you a favor. You may not see it in the moment, but years later, you'll look back and say, thank God that didn't work out. Because had you gotten what you wanted, it might have cost you your peace, your joy, or your purpose. Some things that look like blessings are actually distractions. Some opportunities that seem perfect are actually traps dressed in disguise. That's why divine rejection is the most loving protection you can receive. Rejection also builds character. It humbles you. It reminds you that life doesn't always go according to your plans. But it also strengthens your spirit because you learn to adapt, to heal, and to keep going. You learn that rejection isn't a signal to quit. It's a sign to refocus. Maybe that person wasn't for you. Maybe that job wasn't right. I challenge you to love enough and care enough. Maybe that door wasn't supposed to open, but that doesn't mean the journey is over. It means you're being guided to something that truly fits your purpose. Protecting your peace sometimes means accepting that not everyone is meant to understand you. Not everyone will see your value, and that's okay. You are not for everyone, and everyone is not for you. Your path is sacred, your calling is unique, and your spirit is priceless. Stop fighting to stay in spaces where your soul feels small. Stop grieving over what walked away. Let rejection teach you gratitude because it's a form of guidance. When you face rejection, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this protecting me from? Maybe it's protecting you from heartbreak, from wasted time, from delayed progress, or from people who would have drained your peace. Every time you're rejected, remind yourself that you're being redirected. You are not losing, you're being led. The truth is, sometimes rejection is the only way God can move you. Because if it didn't hurt, you wouldn't have left. If it wasn't painful, you wouldn't have changed. Pain becomes the push that propels you into purpose. Rejection shakes your comfort so you can step into calling. And once you understand that, you stop taking rejection personally and start taking it spiritually. You begin to realize that what's meant for you will always find its way to you. No rejection, no delay, no disappointment can block what's divinely yours. Things that leave your life are making room for something greater to arrive. You were never rejected. You were rerouted. You were being shielded from something that could have destroyed your peace. So don't resent the rejection. Respect it, embrace it, learn from it. Because someday soon you'll look back and realize it wasn't rejection after all. It was redirection, restoration, protection, all wrapped into one powerful moment of grace. There comes a point in life when you start realizing that not everything deserves your reaction. Not every battle needs your energy, and not every invitation to chaos deserves your attendance. There's a certain kind of maturity that comes when you begin to value your peace more than people's opinions, when you stop explaining your calm to those who live in constant noise, and when you finally understand that peace is not found. It's chosen, protected, built daily. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of purpose in the middle of them. It's that quiet strength that whispers, I don't have to fight every storm. Some things are not worth disturbing my spirit over. When you begin to value your peace, you stop running after things that drain you. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking closure from people who never respected your peace in the first place. You start realizing that your peace is your most valuable possession, something no one else can give you, and something you cannot afford to lose. There was a time when you would argue to prove your point, fight to be understood, and exhaust yourself trying to make everyone happy. But now you know better. You know that silence can be more powerful than any explanation. You've learned that walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. Because not everything that demands your attention deserves it. Some people feed on drama, and when you stop participating, you starve their power. Protecting your peace is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's understanding that your mental, emotional, and spiritual health matter more than trying to be liked, understood, or accepted by everyone. When you value your peace, you start setting boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect your soul. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that only open for what aligns with your peace. You begin to say no without guilt and yes without fear. You realize that saying yes to everything is the fastest way to lose yourself. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your peace, you're saying no to your well-being. And there's nothing noble about constantly sacrificing your inner calm just to keep others comfortable. Peace demands discipline. You can't have peace and entertain everything that disrupts it. You can't pray for peace and then run back to the same chaos that broke you. You have to be intentional about where you invest your time, who you allow in your space, and what thoughts you choose to feed. Protecting your peace means protecting your focus, your energy, and your emotional balance. It means you stop apologizing for needing quiet, for choosing solitude, for taking a step back from noise. You begin to recognize that not everyone deserves access to you. Some people were never meant to know every detail of your life. The more you share, the more room you give others to disrupt your peace. Learn to move in silence. Let your peace become your response. You don't have to defend yourself when you know who you are. You don't have to prove your worth to those who are blind to it. Let your calm confuse those who expected chaos. Let your peace speak for you. When you start valuing your peace, you stop chasing after people who only bring confusion. You stop allowing guilt to manipulate you. You stop giving emotional discounts to people who drain your spirit. There's power in choosing to walk away from conversations that steal your joy. There's strength in refusing to argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. There's beauty in saying, I'm not going to let this disturb my peace. A peace is your anchor. It keeps you grounded when life tries to pull you in 1,000 directions. It reminds you that not every reaction is necessary. You can observe without absorbing. You can hear without responding. You can witness chaos without becoming part of it. That's real maturity, being calm in the middle of conflict, being centered in the middle of storms. The moment you start valuing your peace, your circle changes. You begin attracting people who speak life, not drama. You surround yourself with souls that encourage your growth, not those who thrive on gossip or negativity. You start seeking environments that nurture your calm instead of destroy it. And you realize that solitude isn't loneliness, it's sanctuary. Some of the best healing happens when you step back, disconnect, and allow yourself to breathe again. Peace is also about forgiveness, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Holding on to bitterness is like letting someone live rent-free in your mind. Forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior. It releases your spirit from their control. You forgive not to reconcile, but to reclaim your peace, because nothing steals peace faster than resentment. You must also learn to protect your peace from yourself, from your overthinking, your self-doubt, your need to control outcomes. Sometimes the war isn't outside you, it's within. Peace requires trust. Trust that everything happening is part of a divine design. Trust that what's meant for you won't miss you. Trust that even silence has purpose. When you trust, you stop forcing things and start flowing with life. You stop fighting what's gone and start focusing on what's growing. Peace isn't passive. It's a daily decision. It's waking up every morning and saying, no matter what happens today, I choose peace. It's refusing to let circumstances dictate your state of mind. It's knowing that your reaction determines your reality. When you value peace, you learn to pause before responding. You learn that sometimes silence is the loudest answer and stillness is the strongest move. Life will always present moments that test your peace. People who provoke you, situations that disappoint you, seasons that stretch you. But when you know the worth of your peace, you stop surrendering it so easily. You begin to respond with grace instead of anger, with wisdom instead of impulse. You realize that peace is not something you find after the storm, it's something you carry through it. Value your peace like you value your breath, because without it, you can't live fully. Protect it from noise, negativity, and unnecessary drama. Choose peace in your relationships, peace in your thoughts, peace in your choices. Let peace guide your steps and shape your decisions. The more you value it, the stronger it becomes, because at the end of the day, peace is wealth, peace is strength, peace is freedom. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what's happening around you, nothing can shake what's within you. When you truly understand that, you'll stop chasing chaos and start cherishing calm. You'll stop reacting to everything that tries to pull you away from yourself. You'll realize that peace is not found in people or possessions. It's found in presence. So guard your peace like treasure. Don't let anyone borrow it, break it, or bargain it away. You've fought too hard, healed too much, and grown too far to give it away easily. Stand firm in your calm. Protect your spirit. And remember, when you value your peace, you value your life. Growth is a beautiful thing, but it's not always comfortable. It stretches you, challenges you. Sometimes it separates you. When you start evolving, when your mindset begins to shift, when your priorities start to change, you will notice that the circle you once belonged to doesn't feel the same anymore. The conversations that used to excite you now feel draining. The habits that once entertained you now feel meaningless. The people who once understood you may now misunderstand you. That's the hidden cost of growth, distance. At first it hurts. You start wondering why things feel different, why some relationships fade, why the energy around you changes. But what's really happening is that your spirit is outgrowing spaces your body still occupies. You're no longer aligned with where you once were. Growth will always create distance between who you were and who you're becoming. You can't grow and stay the same. You can't evolve and expect everyone to understand it. Some people are comfortable with the version of you that no longer exists. When you start growing, you stop fitting into conversations built on gossip, negativity, or small thinking. You stop tolerating inconsistency. You stop chasing what doesn't feed your peace. You begin valuing quiet, purpose, and truth. And when that happens, some people will say you've changed. And they'll be right, you have. You've learned to protect your energy. You've learned that not everyone can come with you to the next level. Growth isn't just about gaining new things. It's also about releasing what no longer serves your purpose. Distance doesn't always mean disconnection. Sometimes it means development. It's not about cutting people off in anger. It's about recognizing that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some were meant to teach you, some were meant to grow you, and some were meant to test you. When you outgrow a person, a place, or a pattern, you don't need to feel guilty. It simply means your purpose requires a different environment. The truth is, everyone grows, but not everyone grows together. You might be chasing healing while someone else is chasing comfort. You might be seeking peace while someone else is chasing attention. You might be trying to build discipline while they're stuck in distraction. Growth reveals who's truly aligned with you. When you decide to elevate, your vibration changes, and not everyone can handle the frequency of your evolution. That's why you feel distance, because spiritual alignment separates what can't walk with you. It's easy to want everyone to come with you. You love them, you care for them, and you want them to see what you see. But sometimes the hardest lesson is realizing that you can't carry everyone where you're going. You can invite people to grow, but you can't force them to evolve. If they choose comfort over change, you have to love them from a distance. You have to keep moving forward even when it means walking alone. Because growth doesn't wait for comfort. It demands commitment. Don't mistake loneliness for separation. When God starts separating you, it's not to isolate you. It's to elevate you. The space between where you were and where you're going can feel quiet, empty, and uncertain, but it's sacred. That's where transformation happens. That's where old habits die and new strength is born. That's where you discover who you really are when there's no one left to validate you. Distance isn't punishment, it's preparation. Growth will also reveal your worth. You start realizing you don't need to chase validation. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop forcing conversations that go nowhere. You start cherishing solitude because it gives you clarity. Begin to see that peace is not found in crowds. It's found in alignment. The people meant for your next chapter will meet you there, not behind you. So don't slow down trying to keep everyone comfortable. Your growth will disturb some, but it will inspire others. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. Some will call you distant, cold, or arrogant because they don't understand the discipline it takes to grow. They don't see the battles you're fighting within. They don't see how hard it is to let go of familiar things to make room for new ones. Growth requires sacrifice of time, of energy, of relationships, and sometimes of identity. But remember, everything you lose in the process of becoming your best self is never truly lost. It's exchanged for something greater. Growth creates distance. That distance creates clarity. You begin to see what truly matters and who truly values you. Some people love you when you're convenient, but disappear when you start to change. Others will love you through your transformation because they see your heart, not just your habits. Growth reveals true connections. It filters your circle. It tests your loyalty, not to others, but to yourself. You'll realize that you can love people deeply and still outgrow them. You can be grateful for the past and still move forward. You don't have to hate where you came from to desire something better. Growth is not betrayal, it's evolution. You're not walking away from people, you're walking toward purpose. You're not becoming distant, you're becoming focused. You're not leaving them behind, you're simply following the path that was designed for you. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Growth will cost you your comfort, but it will reward you with clarity. It will strip away what's fake and reveal what's real. It will take you through seasons of pruning, not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. Every time you feel distance forming, remind yourself that elevation requires separation. You cannot stay connected to what drains you and expect to rise at the same time. Growth doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring wisely. You still love, but you love from a place of peace. You still give, but you give with discernment. You still support, but not at the expense of your own stability. That's the maturity growth brings, the ability to remain kind without being consumed, the ability to stay connected without being controlled. As you grow, be gentle with yourself. Let go without bitterness. Move on without resentment. Bless those who can't go with you and wish them well. They played their part in your story, but the next chapter requires new energy. Don't apologize for evolving. Don't shrink to make others comfortable with your transformation. Some will never understand your silence, your boundaries, your distance, and that's okay. You're not meant to be understood by everyone. You're meant to be aligned with purpose. So if you find yourself feeling distant lately, don't fight it, embrace it. Growth is calling you higher. The distance is not loss, it's positioning. The space is not emptiness, it's preparation. You are being shaped for something greater. Keep growing, even if it means walking alone for a season, because those who are meant for your future will meet you at the level of your healing, not the level of your history. There comes a stage in life when you realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Not every person should be allowed to speak into your life, drain your energy, or take up space in your heart. You begin to understand that boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are gates meant to protect you. They are the sacred lines that separate what nourishes your peace from what destroys it. Boundaries are a declaration of self-respect, a way of saying, I know my worth, and I refuse to let anyone treat me less than what I deserve. For too long, many of us have mistaken kindness for weakness. We've allowed people to cross lines because we didn't want to seem rude, unloving, or difficult. We've said yes when our spirit was screaming no. We've carried the emotional weight of others until our own peace collapsed under the pressure. True growth teaches you this: you cannot heal, flourish, or fulfill your purpose without boundaries. Peace cannot exist without protection. Boundaries are sacred because they define where you end and where others begin. They remind you that it's not your job to fix everyone, please everyone, be available for everyone. You were not created to be everything to everyone. You were created to be whole, peaceful, and purposeful. And that wholeness requires you to guard your heart, your time, your energy, and your focus. Every no you say to what drains you is a yes to what strengthens you. At first, setting boundaries feels uncomfortable. You might feel guilty for putting yourself first. You might worry that people will misunderstand you. Understand this: anyone who benefits from your lack of boundaries will always be offended when you create them. They were comfortable with the version of you that overextended, that tolerated too much, that ignored your own needs. But when you start valuing your peace, your priorities change. You stop apologizing for protecting your soul. Boundaries are not built out of bitterness. They're built out of clarity. They don't mean you love people less. They mean you've learned to love yourself more. They mean you've finally recognized that peace is too precious to trade for approval. When you have no boundaries, you invite confusion, exhaustion, emotional chaos into your life. When you establish them, you invite focus, freedom, and growth. You can't heal in the same space that broke you. You can't grow in environments where your boundaries are constantly violated. Sometimes, greatest act of self-love is walking away from what no longer honors your peace. You don't owe explanations to those who refuse to respect your limits. Owe yourself protection from anything that compromises your joy. Boundaries are sacred in every form: emotional, mental, spiritual, and even physical. Emotional boundaries protect your heart from manipulation. Mental boundaries protect your thoughts from negativity. Spiritual boundaries protect your soul from being entangled with the energy that doesn't align with your faith. And physical boundaries protect your body from being taken for granted. Each one matters because each one preserves a part of your wholeness. Don't let guilt trick you into thinking that protecting yourself is selfish. There's a difference between being selfish and being self-aware. Selfishness takes without giving, but self-awareness knows when to stop giving what's being abused. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about letting the right people in. They teach others how to treat you. They set the standard for how you expect to be loved, respected, and understood. When you start setting boundaries, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will resist because they benefited from your lack of them. Others will leave because they can no longer control you. But don't let that discourage you. Every person who walks away because you set a boundary is making room for people who will honor it. The right people won't be threatened by your limits. They'll respect them because they understand that boundaries build healthy relationships, not broken ones. There's peace in being able to say, I don't have the capacity for that right now, without guilt. There's strength in saying, that doesn't align with my values. There's freedom in saying, I need space. Boundaries give you back your voice when the world tries to silence it. They allow you to stand firm in your truth when others try to shake your confidence. They teach you to stop explaining what your spirit has already decided. You cannot control how others respond to your boundaries, but you can control your commitment to them. People will test them. They'll push them. They'll try to make you feel bad for having them. But every time you stand your ground, you reclaim a piece of your power. You teach others that you will no longer be manipulated by guilt or pressured by fear. You show yourself that you are worthy of peace. Sometimes setting boundaries means walking away from certain conversations. Sometimes it means being selective with what you share. Sometimes it means spending time alone so you can hear your own thoughts. Silence is a boundary. Distance is a boundary. Saying nothing is sometimes the loudest boundary you can set. You don't always need to explain. peace doesn't need permission. Boundaries are also spiritual. They're about protecting your anointing, your focus, your assignment. You can't fulfill your purpose if you're constantly distracted by drama. You can't pour into others if you're constantly being drained. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Every moment of peace you protect is a seed that grows into wisdom, strength, and clarity. People who respect you will never make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. They will understand that boundaries aren't rejection. They're reflection. They reflect how much you value yourself and how deeply you understand that love without limits is not love, it's exhaustion. Real love has boundaries. It's built on mutual respect, not emotional access. There's a quiet kind of power that comes when you stop seeking validation from people who refuse to respect your limits. You no longer chase approval. You choose alignment. You no longer beg for understanding. You create space for it. And in that space, you rediscover your worth. You realize that boundaries don't make you difficult. They make you disciplined. They don't make you cold. They make you clear. If you ever feel torn about setting boundaries, remind yourself of this truth. Peace is not found in pleasing others. It's found in protecting yourself. The people who truly love you will adapt to your boundaries, not argue against them. The ones who leave were never meant to stay, and that's okay. Because your peace, your purpose, and your sanity are far too sacred to sacrifice for the comfort of others. Boundaries are sacred because they allow you to show up in the world as your best self, not as a version that's drained, anxious, or resentful. They help you preserve your joy, guard your heart, and live intentionally. You can't give love freely if your spirit is constantly wounded. You can't walk in purpose if your peace is always under attack. Protecting your boundaries isn't just about others, it's about protecting the best parts of you. So honor your boundaries. Stand firm in them. Speak them without fear. Enforce them without apology. Because every time you do, you are choosing peace over pressure, truth over tolerance, growth over guilt. And that's not selfish, that's sacred. Healing is not just about recovering from pain. It's about rediscovering yourself after you've been broken. It's about becoming whole again after life has shattered you in ways you didn't expect. What many people don't tell you is that healing doesn't just change you. It changes the way you see the world, the way you love, the way you respond, most importantly, the way you relate to others. Healing transforms relationships, sometimes gently and sometimes completely. When you begin to heal, you start seeing things you once ignored. You start noticing patterns in your relationships that you used to call normal. You begin realizing that what you once tolerated was never love. It was a reflection of your wounds. You understand that some of the connections you kept weren't based on mutual respect, but on mutual pain. You start to see how your brokenness bonded you with people who were broken in the same way. Healing brings awareness, and awareness changes everything. There was a time when you accepted chaos because peace felt unfamiliar. You allowed disrespect because you confused it with passion. You stayed in places that drained you because you didn't believe you deserved more. But when healing enters your life, it begins to untangle those lies, softens the pain, but sharpens the vision. You start to crave calm. You start to value silence. You start to protect your energy. As your spirit becomes healthier, your relationships begin to shift. Some relationships can't survive your healing, and that's okay. Everyone who is part of your pain can handle your peace. Some people love the unhealed version of you. The one who overgave, overexplained, overextended. They were comfortable when you had no boundaries, when you accepted less, when you apologized for things that weren't your fault. When you start to heal, when you start saying no, when you start to heal, when you start speaking up for yourself, they begin to feel uncomfortable because your growth challenges their comfort. Healing teaches you how to love differently. You stop chasing after people who ignore you, and you start valuing those who are consistent. You stop trying to fix everyone and start realizing that it's not your job to heal others at the cost of yourself. You learn that real love doesn't demand you to lose yourself. You begin to understand that love without peace is not love. It's dependency. Healing also reveals truth. You begin to see people not for who you want them to be, but for who they really are. It removes the filters of desperation and loneliness. It helps you recognize emotional manipulation, dishonesty, immaturity that you once excused in the name of love. Healing clears your vision so you can see beyond the surface, beyond charm, beyond promises, beyond words. It teaches you to pay attention to consistency, character, and respect. When you start healing, you start talking differently too. You no longer use words as weapons or silence as punishment. You learn to communicate with clarity, not anger. You start listening to understand, not to respond. You learn that real connection isn't built through control or fear, but through vulnerability and truth. And when you start communicating like that, some people won't know how to handle it, because healing requires emotional maturity, something not everyone is willing to develop. Healing also teaches you detachment, not because you don't care, but because you've learned to care correctly. You stop begging for closure from people who never gave you clarity. You stop trying to force relationships that are no longer aligned with your peace. You stop chasing validation from those who never valued your worth. Healing gives you the courage to walk away from what doesn't serve you anymore, without bitterness, without drama, and without guilt. And yes, healing can feel lonely at times, because when you start changing, not everyone will understand it. Some will say you've become distant. Some will say you've changed. And they'll be right. You have. You've changed from broken to whole. You've changed from reactive to reflective. You've changed from people pleasing to peacekeeping. Healing doesn't just fix what's broken, it transforms who you are. It demands solitude because growth often requires silence. It's in that silence where you rebuild yourself piece by piece. As you heal, your definition of love changes too. You realize that love isn't supposed to hurt all the time. It's not supposed to make you anxious or uncertain. Love is supposed to feel safe, consistent, and freeing. Healing teaches you that peace is the foundation of real love. You don't have to sacrifice your sanity to be loved. You stop romanticizing chaos and start cherishing calm. You begin to choose relationships that feed your soul instead of drain your spirit. Healing changes the way you give. Before, you may have poured into everyone, even when your own cup was empty. But now you give from overflow, not from exhaustion. You understand that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. You no longer confuse pity with compassion. You know the difference between helping someone grow and allowing them to use you as a crutch. Healing doesn't make you colder, it makes you wiser. It doesn't close your heart, it filters it. Some relationships will evolve with you. When both people are willing to grow, healing becomes a bridge, not a barrier. It deepens intimacy because both people are learning to love with awareness, patience, and empathy. But when only one person heals, distance begins to form. You can't build something healthy on foundations that were built in dysfunction. If the other person refuses to grow, you can't keep lowering your standards to stay connected. Healing will force you to choose between staying comfortable in dysfunction or walking alone in peace. Healing also transforms family relationships. You start to see generational patterns more clearly. You begin to understand that some behaviors you normalized came from inherited pain. You stop taking things personally and start breaking cycles. You learn to love family members with boundaries, not resentment. You stop expecting apologies that will never come and start forgiving to free yourself. Healing doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you stop letting their wounds control your well-being. Most importantly, healing changes your relationship with yourself. You start treating yourself with kindness. You forgive yourself for not knowing better before. You learn to speak gently to yourself when you fail. You stop being your own worst critic. You start seeing your reflection not as someone broken, as someone rebuilding. You understand that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You begin to embrace your own company because peace feels better than approval. Healing doesn't make you better than others. It makes you more aware of yourself. Teaches you how to show up in relationships with truth, not trauma. It teaches you how to love without losing yourself. Teaches you how to walk away without hate. It teaches you how to protect your peace while keeping your heart open. And yes, it changes relationships, because you can no longer connect through pain when you've learned to live through peace. You can no longer tolerate chaos when your spirit has tasted calm. Healing creates distance between who you were and who you are becoming. But that distance is sacred. It's not a sign of loss, it's a sign of evolution. You will lose people along the way, but you will find yourself. You will outgrow conversations, but you will find clarity. You will leave behind chaos. You will gain peace. Healing doesn't destroy your relationships. It reveals which ones were strong enough to survive your transformation. So embrace your healing. Let it change how you love, how you speak, how you live, and who you allow near your heart. Because the ones meant for your healed version will never be intimidated by your peace. They will be drawn to it. And that's how you'll know that your healing wasn't just for you. It was for the life and love you're about to build next. There comes a moment in your journey when you have to stop waiting for someone to recognize your worth and start realizing that you are the blessing. You are not here by accident. You are not a random mistake. You are a divine answer to someone's prayer, a carrier of light in a dark world, vessel chosen with purpose. For too long, you've been questioning your value, comparing your path, doubting your gift, and shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed for your greatness. But it's time to wake up and remember who you are. You are not ordinary. You are the blessing. When you understand that you are the blessing, you stop chasing people who can't see your value. You stop begging for validation from those who are too blind to recognize your worth. You stop lowering your energy just to be accepted by those who haven't learned to value what's real. Because when you truly know that you are the blessing, you no longer audition for places that should be honored to have you. You walk with quiet confidence, not arrogance. You carry peace, not pride. You become the difference wherever you go, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your presence naturally carries power. Every blessing doesn't look like a bank account. Every blessing doesn't come wrapped in material things. Sometimes the greatest blessing is your energy, the way you love, the way you listen, the way you lift others up when they're down. Sometimes you are the calm in someone else's storm, the encouragement they didn't even know they needed, the reminder that goodness still exists. Don't underestimate how powerful that is, because while you're doubting yourself, someone is thanking God for you. While you're questioning your purpose, someone is being strengthened by your words, your kindness, your resilience. You are the blessing because of what you've overcome. You've walked through fire and didn't burn. You've carried pain, still managed to love. You've been betrayed, broken, rejected. You didn't let it make you bitter. Instead, you let it shape you. You let it refine you. You let it push you closer to the truth of who you really are. That's what makes you a blessing, not perfection, but perseverance. Not ease, but endurance. You've been through storms that would have drowned others, but you're still standing, still shining, still serving. That's not coincidence, that's divine favor. Too many people have been conditioned to think blessings are something they receive, not something they become. But when you grow in wisdom, you realize that your presence itself can shift atmospheres. Your faith can lift others. Your vision can open doors. Your love can heal wounds. Every time you walk into a room with integrity, peace, and light, you bring blessing into that space. You carry something that money can't buy and status can't replace, a spirit that brings life. But when you don't know that you are the blessing, you begin to settle, you begin to let people misuse your energy. You start to think that being needed is the same as being valued. You start giving your peace to people who only want your power. You begin to overextend yourself trying to prove your worth to those who couldn't recognize value, even if it was right in front of them. The moment you awaken to the truth that you are the blessing, the game changes. You start setting standards, not out of ego, but out of awareness. You stop explaining your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to convince others to love you. Start focusing on loving yourself correctly. Knowing you are the blessing also changes how you handle rejection. When people walk away, you no longer see it as loss. You see it as divine redirection. You start realizing that sometimes God removes you from places that cannot hold your blessing. Not because you did something wrong, but because you carry too much, right? You're too evolved for certain environments, too disciplined for certain distractions, too anointed for certain atmospheres. When you know you are the blessing, you stop chasing what left and start preparing for what's next. When you realize you are the blessing, you start treating yourself with the same grace you give others. You start nourishing your mind, guarding your peace, protecting your spirit. You stop calling it selfish to put yourself first because you finally understand that you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is not pride, it's stewardship. You're taking care of the gift that you are. You are honoring the vessel that carries purpose. You are maintaining the source of light that brightens the world around you. That is sacred. You are the blessing in your family. You are the one breaking cycles. You are the one healing what was never healed before. You are the one teaching love differently. You are the one turning pain into wisdom. You are the one creating a new legacy. Don't downplay that. Don't minimize your progress just because it doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes being the blessing means being consistent, being patient, being kind when others are cruel. It means standing firm when everyone else gives up. It means choosing forgiveness when bitterness feels easier. That's power. That's purpose. You are the blessing because of the way you show up. Every day you choose to be kind instead of cold, you bless someone. Every time you speak truth and love, you bless someone. Every time you forgive and move forward, you bless yourself and others. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes your quiet strength is enough to shift the energy in an entire space. People may not always say it, but they feel it. Your peace has weight. Your presence has value. Your existence has meaning. And when you truly live like you are the blessing, you no longer seek to compete. You seek to contribute. You stop worrying about who's doing better and start asking how you can make things better. You stop comparing your path to others because you know your purpose is not a race, it's an assignment. You don't chase trends, you walk in truth. You don't try to be seen, you focus on being aligned. You don't force connections, you allow divine timing to bring the right ones to you. That's what happens when you live in the awareness of your worth. You are the blessing not because of what you have, but because of who you are. You carry peace in a world of chaos. You carry faith in a world of fear. You carry light in places that have grown cold. Your words, your presence, your faith, they all carry power. You are the answered prayer your ancestors hoped for. You are the proof that grace still works. You are the testimony that survival can turn into strength. You are walking evidence that God still uses imperfect people to do extraordinary things. So stop doubting yourself, stop dimming your light, stop apologizing for your calling. You are not too much. You are exactly enough for the purpose placed within you. Walk in on it. Live it. Speak it. You don't need the world to confirm what heaven already declared. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are the blessing. Wherever you go, remind yourself that you bring something valuable. You bring peace where there was chaos, faith where there was fear, hope where there was despair. You are not waiting for favor. You are the favor. You are not looking for blessings. You carry them. Your life itself is proof that something divine still moves in this world. So keep your head high, walk with humility, but also with power. Speak truth, speak it with love, serve others, but never forget your own worth. You are not what they said you were. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the things that broke you. You are the lesson, the growth, the light, the transformation. You are the blessing. And it's time to live like it. There is power in letting go, not in anger, not in bitterness, not in regret, but with gratitude. Life has a way of teaching us that not everything meant to start with us is meant to stay with us. Some people, some seasons, some situations come into our lives to teach us not to remain with us. And when those moments end, we have a choice. We can either hold on in pain or release them in peace. Letting go with gratitude is not weakness. It is wisdom. It's the recognition that holding on too long can block what's next. And that sometimes the most courageous act of faith is to simply open your hands and say, thank you, even for this. When you let go with gratitude, you're not pretending it didn't hurt. You're not denying the disappointment or the tears. You're just choosing to see beyond the pain. You're choosing to honor what the experience taught you rather than be consumed by what it took from you. You start to understand that every ending carries a hidden blessing. Every goodbye is also a release from something that no longer serves your peace or your purpose. Gratitude transforms the energy of loss into the wisdom of growth. It allows you to say, it may not have gone how I wanted. It went exactly how I needed. Too often, we hold on to things that have already expired, relationships that have stopped growing, jobs that no longer align, dreams that have evolved into something new. We cling out of fear. Fear of change, fear of being alone, fear of the unknown. Gratitude softens that fear. Gratitude says, even if it's over, I'm thankful it happened. Even if it didn't last, it added something to my life. Even if it broke me, it built me. When you adopt that mindset, you no longer see endings as failures, but as sacred transitions. Letting go with gratitude means recognizing that not everyone who walks away is an enemy. Some people are simply assignments completed. They played their role in your story, and when their part ended, they left so the next chapter could begin. You can love them and still let them go. You can appreciate their presence in your past without needing them in your future. Gratitude helps you release them with peace instead of resentment. It allows you to bless them in your heart and move forward with lightness, not bitterness. When you let go with gratitude, you free yourself from the emotional weight that's been holding you back. Resentment, anger, and regret are heavy. They drain your spirit and cloud your vision. Gratitude, on the other hand, lifts you. It brings clarity. It reminds you that even pain had purpose. It teaches you that nothing was wasted. Every person who left, every door that closed, every plan that failed, all of it was preparing you for something greater. You don't need to understand it immediately. You just need to trust that it's working together for your good. There's something incredibly powerful about saying thank you in the middle of a storm. Gratitude doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. It's a declaration of faith in imperfect ones. It's saying, I don't see the full picture yet, but I trust that this is part of it. When you can thank God for what didn't work out, you've reached a new level of maturity, because it means you've stopped living from a place of entitlement and started living from a place of understanding. You realize that some things didn't stay because they weren't meant to sustain you. Letting go with gratitude also means forgiving yourself. You can't fully release what you're still blaming yourself for. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you missed signs. Yes, you stayed longer than you should have, but you were learning, you were growing, you were becoming. Be grateful for the version of you that tried, even when it hurt. Be thankful for the one who gave love freely, who believed, who hoped. That version of you deserved compassion, not criticism. Letting go with gratitude means looking at your past self with grace and saying, thank you for getting me this far. I'll take it from here. Gratitude shifts your focus from what ended to what's emerging. It helps you recognize that loss often clears the space for new beginnings. You may not see it immediately, but eventually, what you thought was breaking you is actually birthing you. Sometimes God will close a door you were trying to force open, not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes people will walk away not because you weren't enough, but because you were evolving in a direction they weren't ready to follow. Gratitude allows you to honor that truth without bitterness. When you hold on too tightly to what's gone, you can't receive what's next. Your hands can't carry both the pain of the past and the promise of the future. Gratitude is what opens your palms. It allows you to say, I release what was so I can receive what will be. And in that release, something beautiful happens. Peace enters. Peace doesn't mean you don't care anymore. It means you've accepted that life moves forward. It means you've learned to trust that what's meant for you will never require you to lose yourself to keep it. Letting go with gratitude changes your posture in life. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start saying, what did this teach me? You stop resenting endings and start honoring transitions. You begin to see that every chapter Even the painful ones carried wisdom, strength, and revelation. Gratitude turns wounds into wisdom, pain into perspective, and endings into evolution. It keeps your heart soft even when life feels hard. It's easy to be grateful when everything is going right. True gratitude shines when life doesn't go as planned. When the relationship ends, when the opportunity falls through, the dream shifts. That's when gratitude becomes your anchor. It reminds you that you still have something to hold on to: lessons, strength, clarity, resilience. Gratitude doesn't deny the pain, it gives it purpose. It transforms what could have been your breaking point into your building point. When you let go with gratitude, you also make room for grace, because gratitude and grace walk hand in hand. The more thankful you are, the more you attract peace. The more you release with love, the more love returns to you. Life responds to a grateful heart. You begin to experience favor in unexpected ways because you've stopped resisting the flow of change. You've learned to trust timing, not force outcomes. You've learned that peace is more valuable than control. So take a moment to look back, not with regret, but with reverence. Thank the ones who came and left because they taught you discernment. Thank the seasons that broke you because they taught you strength. Thank the detours because they led you to divine destinations. Thank the closed doors because they protected your purpose. Thank even the silence because it taught you to listen to your own soul. Letting go with gratitude is not about forgetting. It's about releasing the emotional hold of the past so you can walk freely into your future. It's about saying, I honor what was, I release what no longer serves me, and I welcome what's meant for me. That's not weakness. That's power. That's peace. That's healing. So breathe. Exhale what's gone. Inhale what's new. Say, thank you for the lessons, the love, and even the losses, because all of it was shaping you into who you are today. When you learn to let go with gratitude, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You stop clinging to what's temporary and start trusting what's eternal. Everything you've been through was meant to prepare you for where you're going. Go of what no longer fits the future you're becoming. Do it with peace. Do it with love. Do it with gratitude. Because the moment you release with a thankful heart, you create space for blessings that were waiting for your hands to be free. Every single day, you wake up with something powerful inside you, your energy. It is your light, your focus, your peace, your drive, your essence. It's the invisible force that determines how you show up, how you think, how you love, and how you lead. But what many people don't realize is that your energy is also your most valuable currency. You can recover money, you can rebuild a business, you can even regain opportunities. But when you lose your energy, when you allow your peace to be drained, your spirit begins to fade. That's why protecting your energy daily is not selfish, it's essential. Your energy is sacred because it fuels everything about you. When your energy is low, your perspective weakens. You start doubting yourself, questioning your worth, and settling for less. But when your energy is strong, your confidence flows naturally. You start seeing solutions instead of problems. You speak life instead of fear. You attract what aligns instead of chasing what drains. That's why you must be intentional about what you allow to touch your energy every single day. You can't afford to let negative people, toxic thoughts, or unnecessary distractions rob you of your power. Protecting your energy doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means learning to discern who and what deserves access to you. Some people only come to take, not to pour. Some conversations only exist to drain, not to build. Some environments are designed to confuse your spirit and shift your focus. You have to be wise enough to know when your peace is being compromised. Not everyone who wants your time deserves your attention. Every invitation is an opportunity. Protecting your energy means learning to say no without guilt and yes with clarity. Each day before you let the world in, you need to ground yourself in peace. Take a moment in silence. Pray, breathe, center your mind. Remind yourself that you decide what kind of energy you carry today. Because if you don't set the tone for your spirit, someone else will. Don't let social media dictate your mood. Don't let gossip shape your mindset. Don't let negativity define your narrative. Protecting your energy means being intentional about what you feed your soul, what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, and what you believe. You cannot consume chaos and expect calm. When you start guarding your energy, you begin to notice how easily peace can be disturbed. You'll start recognizing how some people only reach out when they need something. You'll realize that certain environments make your soul tired. Even if nothing bad happens, that's discernment at work. That's your spirit warning you that something is off. Listen to it. Ignore the signals your body and spirit give you. If you leave a conversation feeling drained instead of inspired, pay attention. If you constantly have to defend your peace around certain people, that's not your tribe. That's your test. Protecting your energy daily also means protecting your focus, because wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. If you spend your day comparing, complaining, or worrying, you're pouring energy into things that produce nothing. Protecting your energy means being disciplined about your attention. You can't keep watering distractions and expect to grow purpose. Every time you allow negativity to take root in your thoughts, you're weakening your momentum. But when you focus on what's good, what's growing, and what's possible, your spirit expands. Your energy becomes magnetic. It's also important to protect your energy from yourself, from your own overthinking, from your own doubts, from your own internal criticism. Sometimes the biggest energy thief isn't outside you. It's the voice inside your head that tells you you're not enough. That voice that replays mistakes and magnifies fear, you have to silence it with truth. Remind yourself of who you are and how far you've come. You've survived things that were meant to destroy you. You've rebuilt yourself in silence. You've learned, you've grown, you've risen. Don't let old insecurities sabotage your new strength. Protect your mind, because it's the gatekeeper of your energy. Protecting your energy also means setting emotional boundaries. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You can care deeply without carrying the weight of other people's choices. You can love someone and still say, "This is not mine to hold." Empathy without boundaries becomes exhaustion. You must learn to release what doesn't belong to you. The drama, the negativity, the endless emotional cycles that don't lead to change. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Every day you're surrounded by energy exchanges, people speaking, reacting, projecting, and expecting. If you're not careful, you'll absorb energy that's not yours. That's why it's important to check in with yourself often. Ask, what am I feeling right now? Is this even mine? Because sometimes you're not tired. You're just carrying too much of what doesn't belong to you. Protect your energy by releasing what's not yours to hold. Pray, meditate, walk, breathe, rest, whatever helps you reset. A protected spirit is a powerful spirit. You must also protect your energy from overcommitment. You cannot say yes to everything and still expect to have energy for what truly matters. Learn to prioritize your purpose over your popularity. Protecting your energy means having the discipline to choose peace over pleasing people. It means knowing that rest is not laziness, it's alignment. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is take a break and recharge, because an empty soul cannot serve effectively. You can't pour wisdom, creativity, or love from a drained heart. Be mindful of how you start and end your days. In the morning, set your tone with gratitude. At night, release everything that tried to steal your peace. Don't carry the weight of yesterday into tomorrow. Protecting your energy daily is an active process. You must choose peace again and again, because every day brings new tests, new distractions, new temptations to pull you out of balance. But when you learn to stand firm in your calm, the world loses its power to disturb your spirit. Protecting your energy also means surrounding yourself with people who pour back into you. You can't always be the one uplifting everyone else. Find those who speak life into you, who encourage your dreams, who remind you of your worth when you forget. Protect your circle, because who you allow around you determines the atmosphere you live in. When your circle is filled with peace, positivity, and purpose, your energy flourishes naturally. And remember this, protecting your energy doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It doesn't make you distant. It makes you disciplined. It doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means you're aware. Because when you know the cost of peace, you stop giving it away cheaply. When you understand the value of your energy, you stop wasting it on people and problems that refuse to grow. You owe it to yourself to guard your spirit daily. Every morning you wake up, remind yourself, my peace is my responsibility. Protect your energy by being selective with your time, intentional with your focus, and careful with your heart. The world will always try to pull from you, but only you can decide what you give. Choose peace over pressure. Choose presence over noise. Choose alignment over approval. When you protect your energy daily, you live with clarity. You think better. You love deeper. You move wiser. You attract what's meant for you effortlessly because you've stopped leaking your light into things that were never meant to hold it. Begin to operate not from exhaustion, but from overflow. You stop surviving and start thriving. So today and every day, protect your energy. Guard it like treasure. Nurture it with truth. Shield it with boundaries. Watch how your life transforms when you stop letting everything and everyone have access to your peace. Because when your energy is protected, your purpose is unstoppable.